Hey guys, what's going on? It's me, Paterson, and welcome back to a new video. Today we're actually going through some of the most amazing poster designs that I've seen this year. I'm going to try and aim for 5 to 10 posters, but the title should clue you in on how many posters that I find and talk about. But this video is all down. Hello? Can I call you back? I'm in the middle of recording something right now. Can I call you back? This type of video that I'm making is all down to inspiring you guys. The value that you get from these videos is that you can sit back, relax, and see what inspires me, and maybe it'll inspire you too to create something really cool. And not only that, I just like the appreciation of design as well as making things. So let's get right into the first one. Before we get into this video, I just want to thank FreshBooks for sponsoring this video. I'm going to talk a bit about it later, but if you're a freelance or someone who's starting to think about going freelance, you'll need accounting software. You'll probably want to go and check them out with the link in the description. The first one is here, and it is the bad typography is everywhere, but then it also says in the background, good typography is invisible. The first thing you need to realize about poster design, and any sort of design really, but especially typographic poster design, is that there are grids being used. Now, grids are used to basically be like a click track to music, but for typography. It helps you compose things correctly and get things in the right spatial order of things. And you can see here, as we can tell, that this has been happening. There are grids in this design. But not only that, the contrast and the interest to this design is amazing. It shows us that, bad typography is everywhere, but also good typography is everywhere, and it's using bad points in there such as red to illustrate the bad, and it's also using the nice 3D element, the nice depth element of good typography is invisible in the background. All the links to these posters will be credited in the description. It'll be easier for me to do it that way. But as you can tell, this poster is just really pleasing to the eye, and it's got a lot of humor in it, and I like things like that. One of my first videos I made on the channel was to create a poster design like this, actually, where you take a Photoshop document and you render it out so it looks 3D on a poster, and it looks super nice with this nice ceramic feel. It looks really minimalist and subtle. The second poster isn't really typographic, but it's illustrated in a really cool way. It's all about climate change and global warming and how things are heating up, and I love the way that they've used the thermometer with the red in it and the depth with the macro look to see where things are going in sort of extinction of where things could start. So it starts off with the penguins also because they're in a colder climate. But believe it or not, this is actually done with grids as well. Yes, it's done with grids. There's a big line going down the middle, and if you were to make that into one big shape, it's a big rectangle with a circle at the bottom illustrating the thermometer. Anything that is symmetrical is instantly balanced, which is what I like. Our faces are instantly balanced because we have 2 eyes, a nose, but 2 nostrils and a mouth with 2 sides of the mouth. Us humans like things that are symmetrical because of the balance, and having anything that is balanced is pleasing to the eye, and this poster is one of them where it makes a lot of sense to itself. And not only the design term of it, the message is really good. I'll put the link down below for you to check this out after. Now, this third poster design is a bit more illustrative and hand lettery, but it further illustrates the point as to why you've got to have balance in your poster design, because this one is really balanced. You've got the main article in the middle, which is let's spice it up. I think this could be Nando's, not too sure. The hand lettered typography in the middle works well inside of, I think it's like the chili powder that they've drawn out of it, and also the Dorito chips. But again, you can see that there are grids being used in this, and it just looks amazing. It's one of my favorite, not only because it works by a grid, but it just looks balanced and nice. I love the colors, and I also love the fact that it's all in place. And for someone who does a lot of hand lettering as like my other side to my job, if you haven't checked me out on Instagram, you can follow the links down below and check out my hand lettering work. I really appreciate poster designs like this, where we take food and make lettering out of it, which I've also done a video for as well. The fifth one is this one here, and again, links will be down below. I love this design, and I think if you have any appreciation towards typography or communicative design, then you're going to appreciate this one also. It's like one of those Facebook posts where people say you can still read this even though I'm changing the way it is being written. Well, basically the same is going on here, but with a bit more minimalism and depth to do with music. It's using musical notes as the composition, as well as changing the typographic poster layout. So although this poster looks like a mess, it looks really good because of the way that it's been made. They've actually used grids as well. And this is a good time for me to show you one that I've just like quickly put together, which is this really weird looking poster here. But this is all to do with like grids. And I did this before the video to show you a grid in action. So you may look at this poster and go, oh, that looks really minimal. You know, how did you do that? Did you just put things in place? Well, kind of. I used my basic knowledge of composition and design and hierarchy and typeface knowledge from hand lettering and everything else to put into this poster. This is a very, very generic kind of design poster. You'll see a lot of designers doing this because it works. Not saying it's bad, it just works well. And the information on this isn't very clear either. It's just a random poster with random bits of info. This poster design was actually created using grids. If I was to show you my grid lines here, these orange, not orange, but pink lines are the grid lines. And the way that I created them was pretty easy. All I did was I had my smart guides enabled and I created a sort of like rectangle like this. And it's just like a rectangle with the stroke in it. I went up to object, path, and then split into grids, show the preview, and I went to 7 down the line to have 7, but you can go for 5, you can go for 3 for the rule of thirds, but I went for 7 because it's a nice poster size, and you can go 7 here as well if you wanted to. I press OK, and then I press Command 5, and this gives me like a grid on my poster for me to work with, so whenever I'm putting like typography in, I can like literally place it into areas where I know it's going to work. Again, everything of my poster design is following a grid line. So you can see here, this is matched to this line here for the grid. The how is justified as well to the left. And you can see that I've got these other grid parts here justified there onto the grid lines. Now, when you hit those grid lines, it just makes it easier for the brain and easier for the designer to make sure it looks good because you're keeping it all in sequence. It's kind of like staying in time with your design. That's all it is. And you can see here with the poster, I tried to go a bit weird with it, but you can see it hits the grid line, so it works well. So when we're looking at poster designs like this one with Susan Phillip, you can tell that they're using grid lines because everything is justified. Maybe it's not like the most amazing grid, but it's so worth it to look at and to dissect it. One of my other favorite poster designs, just because it's one that gets me every time, that I looked at years ago, which was Some People Are Gay, Get Over It. And this is done by Stonewall. Again, the link will be in the description, but this poster design speaks a lot to like the communities at large, but not only that, it design wise works really well. There's a reason why they probably use the red, the white and the black. These are the most contrasting colors. This is the colors that get people's attention. It sparks passion into the design. And again, design is supposed to be simple, and I love this because Some People Are Gay, you look at it and you can see that it's white because it's trying to get the contrast from the black, and then Get Over It, again, it's contrasted to the black. Something though that I've noticed with this poster is that the O, they haven't overshooted the O or got the overshot on the O, which isn't a good thing because they need that for it to look proper. But again, the typography design on this is amazing, works within a grid. I like it. It just shows you that you don't have to go too fancy with a poster design for it to mean something. Sometimes posters that are just like done in a grid that are simple work the best. Now, another design that I absolutely love is this one here, which is the lobster. And I believe it's probably a movie poster of some sort. I don't pretend to know at all what this is. It looks kind of very, very strange, but the cool thing about it again is that it's using grids. If I was to put like a grid down like this very quickly onto it, you can see somehow where the grids are lying. Things are in place with these leading lines in the grids. See down here with this part with the lobster, everything is centered to that bottom part, but not only that, everything is symmetrical towards that. It's all aligned in place. But But the coolest part is the images and the typography in front. So they've literally balanced this out by doing the opposite each time, but they've kept it within the grid. Obviously breaking the rules sometimes, but using that grid as just a guide as what it's supposed to be to where they should put their typography. You can see how this type here is boxed there, and then this is boxed down here with the image, boxed here, boxed up here. Great classic use of a poster design grid that works super well. Let me know down below if you want more videos about grids and everything. You guys love the ones about the Golder ratio, but I could talk for days about grids. I've read lots about them over my years of doing design. And the last one of today is this one here that I'm going to talk about, which is awesome. I love this one because of its simplicity. Obviously there's not a lot of typography in here. It's more of a portrait shot with typographic elements in it with the word eloquence in it. Again, I'll link it down below. This is using the grids also, just so everyone knows. What I love about it though is the colors and the black and white. So it's got a black and white filter over it with a gradient of like a nice magenta or pink or purple coming down with an orange or yellow on the right. It's also adding depth towards the typography, and this sort of thing is balanced and laid out super well. It's nice and minimal, but with that vintage sort of feel, or that, I don't know, that cool feel. What's that word? It's like an Instagrammy feel. Posters like this are always interesting because it's really contrasting from the background, and it's got a very simple message, which I guess for this one is just showing someone's profile or showing something that's happening with them. I have no idea. I'm just here to appreciate the designs. This one here is an amazing one as well. It is super cleverly done. I like it. It's the typography inside it. It hasn't got any of its negative shapes inside of it because it's taken them out, but you can still read it. And it's also laid out beautifully on the poster design. But again, it's using grids, and you can see that from the fact that everything is in blocks, and if you take the blocks and divide them up into different blocks and see where they connect in these lines of the blocks, you can tell it's in a grid, and it just looks so nice. From the cool background with the painted artistic background to the typographic front with the red, it's really contrasting to the background, which helps people see what the poster's about. Not only that, but the information is hierarchied, so it's hierarchied in the size and the weight, and the typography is being shown. So art is the first thing that I see, and then I look towards the information on the right. We read from the top left down to the right, like this, or this to you, whichever way you're looking at me from the camera. And if you've noticed anything about these posts that I've shown you, probably aside from mine, they're all easy on the eyes to look at. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I just want to give a huge shout out to the sponsor of this video, FreshBooks. If you've got clients and they're not paying you fast enough and you need to track more of your accounts as a freelancer you generally do, then FreshBooks is the website and the cloud accounting system for you. Using FreshBooks has enabled me to get paid faster, to send automatic reminders, even add on late payment fees, but also just to gather up all my expenses, which can be a tedious thing to do without a good accounting software. If you would like to get paid faster, be notified when your client has actually read your invoice, and to have an overall easier experience when it comes to accounting, click the link down below. That will give you 30 days free trial, risk-free of FreshBooks, so you can see what it's like before you buy it and use it, which you probably will buy it because it is the best cloud accounting software you can get right now as a designer. If you enjoyed this type of video, then please press that big fat red subscribe button, turning on post notifications so you never miss a video that I do ever again on this channel. If you liked the video, press that like button. If you disliked it, click that dislike button twice, and I'll catch you in the next video. See you soon. Goodbye.